to let you know that it's not being live streamed, but it's being recorded and it will be put on the internet after the meeting right now. There's no planned fire alarm test. If the alarm goes off, we have got to get it out. Okay, item 1, apologies.
Thank you, Chairman. We have apologies from Councillor Longbottom from City of Lincoln Council, Councillor Foster from East Lincolnshire District Council, and Councillor Astle from South Holland District Council.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything? Apology 1. Declarations of interest. Oh, that's fine. If anybody finds any through the papers, we'll note them. Item 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of July. Approve these minutes. Has everybody had a copy of the minutes and read them? So that they were correct, accurate line the meeting. Thank you. All in favour? Gary, thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to go to the partner update, and I'll start with the City of Lincoln, please.
Thank you. Nothing further really to the position we were in July, except perhaps to mention this is for the benefit of members rather than the strategic officers, because I have discussed it in the strategic officer group that we are trialling some AI equipment with support from BIFA, which looks at the material that goes into the back of the vehicle and then uses AI to assess levels of contamination. It's in development. It's early stages of development, so it's got a long way to go, but we're pleased to be part of that work and hope it can support the materials assessment that's carried out by the County Council ordinarily.
Thank you. Very interesting. AI is taking over the world, so getting involved with it early is a good thing, I think. Thank you. Boston Borough, East Lindsey and South Holland. Victoria, please.
So South Holland, as you'd imagine, we've got quite a large mobilisation plan in place. Looking forward to bringing that through towards the mid-end of next year, isn't it? Next calendar year now. Boston, we've had our county colleagues helping with some concerns we had around contamination and some of the recycling, so that's ongoing. We've also extended report with we've got the piece of plan that been held to the current depots, we've extended that, so we've got all the space for growth and the service that will be starting next year. Also in Boston, we just purchased a number of breeding machines, which are the street like mini sweeps, street sweeping equipment. So investing quite a lot in what we're doing in Boston, in the outer areas of Boston. And then pleased to say that the flight of numbers in Boston are continuing downward trajectory. I think all the work that we have put in, all the engagement, all the targeting, hotspot areas, fingers crossed, but we're hoping it's now starting to pay off. And East Lindsey, again, not so much going on there, but looking forward to the vehicles coming through the gas collection.
On time.
Yes, we're aiming arrival between July and August next year, so we're on our time scale. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Move on to North Stephen District Council.
Thank you, Chair. So, like Steve said, it's a continuation of the update from last time. We've let our contract for the depot expansion, and all being well, subject to planning, work should start at the end of this month. We're expecting our first delivery of caddies and caddy liners next week, and we're also working with Turnberg on the specifications for the storage elements of the vehicle. And they should be looking towards next month for those to arrive to storage. We're planning for a recruitment event in November. We've already had expressions of interests from some internal candidates for that.
South of Stephen District Council.
So we recently relaunched our round restructure on the 15th of September. So around 94% of residents experienced a day change in their connections to make the rounds more efficient. We're now we just come to the end of week 3 of that rollout, and it's gone fairly successfully. So from a resident perspective, there's not been too much disruption. It went as well as we could have hoped, so we're quite happy with that. And we're just working on now tweaking further in the background to make sure that any logistics or issues that have arisen are fixed as they go. So the kind of hope is now that we won't have to do a big restructure again like this in the future. So that's been a great success. Also, in terms of food waste, so just echoing what David said, we'll also be starting recruitment in November. We've got a mixture of internal training and external recruitment to try and fill those vacancies. We've currently got about 10 members of the waste team on apprenticeships to get their driver's license upgraded so that they can take on the driving role within the food waste service, which has gone down really, really well. And then we'll recruit around that, which should take some of the pressure off our demands whilst we're recruiting, because we're aware that there's a shortage of drivers and everybody will want them at the same time. So hopefully between the recruitment drive and the internal training, we'll be on our feet with that one. We're also starting the mobilisation for the move to the new depot. So we've appointed a new depot supervisor this week. We'll be looking at planning the logistics of that move from next week onwards. The official opening is still on for 1st of December. So we're still on target for that. And in line with that opening, our food waste vehicles and our caddies will arrive late December, early January, because at the current depot, we don't have enough room for the vehicles. So fingers crossed everything on that front goes well. Our next project is looking at in communal bins in difficult areas over the winter. So I'll be bringing this to the strategic officers next meeting, where we want to improve our communal bins, our terrace house issues that we have with location for bin storage, bins on streets and things like that before food waste comes in. So we're looking at running that project potentially over the winter to try and improve it and bring food waste in with some of those issues tackled head on. And finally, we end on some good news. So the waste team won our Best Service Review Award at the Active Service Awards in Glasgow a couple of weeks ago. So we were very happy with that super job. So just a shout out for the team.
Yeah, well done.
Built on most improved last year, so it's that culture of improvement we work with the system. Very proud of Cadence.
Thank you very much. West London District Council. I'll get it down to you then.
There's not an awful lot to report. That's different from where we were before. Our food waste provision is quite well advanced anyway, and all on target to start again in March. But the only issues we're picking up are to do with the digestate from the plant, so the biotech plant, which is really waste collection. So it comes. We have got a new chief executive started on Monday. We've obviously changed our administration around a bit, so there's lots of changes going on, and I think it would be wise to say we will wait to see what will happen with new improvement.
Any updates from Lincolnshire County Council?
Yes, a few from us. So we've opened all the community repaint facilities at all the HWRCs now, with the last one at Skegness just a few weeks ago. And so far we've diverted, since we started the project in November last year, we've diverted 15,000 litres of paint that would have otherwise been incinerated. So that's fantastic news. We're extending our opening hours at our reuse shop at Tattershall. So we're now going to open on Saturdays and Sundays because we've had quite a bit of public demand for that. So we've just started doing that in the last 2 weeks, and we've seen excellent attendance at the shop. Our energy from waste has just reached 2 landmark milestones over the summer period. Since it's been built and commissioned in 2014, it's now processed 2 million tonnes of residual waste and generated 1 million megawatt hours into the national grid. So some real significant numbers there. Over the summer, we've experienced quite a few fires at our recycling centres, and the key cause of them has been batteries or vapes. I think there were about 5 or 6 this summer. We had some quite good comms on one of the fires at Great Northern Terrace, where all the operatives managed to get a really good video of the fire in the container. So that went out with our comms team and got some quite a bit of attention. So we was able to sort of demonstrate the impacts of incorrectly disposing of batteries and vapes. And at Senior Officer Working Group, we've been talking about what we could potentially do to try and improve that. So we've tasked our Officer Working Group with having a look at some things around batteries and vapes, and we'll feed back to this forum when we've had a bit more of a discussion on that. And then lastly, while we're talking about awards, I can let everybody know that Lincolnshire County Council have been shortlisted for 2 awards at LARAC next week for the best communications campaign with Right Thing, Right Bin. Say it right. And best waste minimisation project, which is our reuse shop at Tatchell. And that's everything from us for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done for the nomination. Like I said, any awards, a good award. Does anybody have any questions to anybody on those reports?
Can I just add in there, Chairman? We were really pleased to get the award of best performing waste and recycling team for South Stephen, but I think it's fair to say we wouldn't have done that without everybody's support around this room. Certainly from Rachel and the team coming out with us on the rollout of liquid bins, and shall we say our start, but then close down and then start again, and what we learned and how we changed things to better engage with some of our residential groups that we were having difficulties with. I think it's fair to say. So without the support, certainly from the county council team and Kay's support from her peer group, we wouldn't be where we are today. As Reece said, we got best improving previous year, and to go from that to this, it's been a huge amount of change has happened. But I just wanted to put on record, thank you to our partners for helping us and supporting us through certainly the last few years to make the change, embedded change in our services. And of course, we've got a new £10 million depot that we'll be moving to in the next 2 months, and with 4 different teams coming under one roof is going to be the next change and transformation that's going to be happening. Having our waste teams working with our housing team and our grounds maintenance team and our health and safety team all on site. So that's going to be the next big change that we'll be bringing forward. So yeah, but thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much. So we can all claim that award then.
Yeah.
Well, that was it's difficult for the team to help and celebrate. It was awful.
Right, well, thank you very much for that. Any further questions? I'll just quickly let you know that we've got the consultation coming out hopefully at the end of this month. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a public engagement survey for our recycling centres.
See what they think we should be doing, or what we're doing wrong, or what we should be doing better.
I'm going to bar you from entering the Zoom. Just saying. Get his IP address.
So, but I've got the results. I've got the back end of the slip.
I've got the results.
I will get definitely not. That's like glad you are.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We'll move on. Item 5, food waste update. From Chris.
Yeah, that's me. Thank you, Chair. Okay, so we continue to make good progress towards our go live dates for food waste segregated collection. And this paper that's in the agenda pack reflects on the progress made to date by the LWP. It also reviews our joint strategic comms budget. I provide an update on the infrastructure modifications that we're taking, and then we've updated the roadmap for the project delivery, so it's live, and that's a live document that keeps adjusting as we move further through the project. So reflecting on the progress made by the LWP and our food waste group so far. So in 2023, when the announcement was made by Central Government for Simpler Recycling, SOWG, we stood up the food waste project group. And the first milestone there was securing the £9.6 million capital funding that we needed for our infrastructure requirements. And following that, we secured AD capacity at Biotech at Hemswell in Lincolnshire, and then also just over the border at March. So we made some real good progress straight away. The food waste group then coordinated the workshop with RAP, which I think was really useful because it helped us make some future decisions. And it helps us with our united approach for the caddy sizes and the colours that we've determined that will be standardised for the whole of Lincolnshire. And then once we had that decision made, that was great because it enabled us to make a coordinated procurement for all the caddies so we could ensure best value as a partnership. We then agreed a consistent liner strategy where we've got the 52 liners supplied initially, and then it gives the LWP time to then monitor the success of the implementation, and we'll be able to then come back and review what we want to decide further as a partnership. And then lastly, the most recent one is that we agreed as a partnership to appoint a strategic communications officer, Emma, who was here last time, and she's been able to drive and manage our strategic comms plan. We're now working towards that go live date. So Emma's been really good. She's helped us, and we've identified the need for a central comms budget. We need to be able to produce some professional, effective comms material and messaging that's sort of standardised for all of Lincolnshire. So, sorry, I've jumped onto the next bit. I've done my update. I'm on. I'm moving on too quick there. So Emma, as our strategic comms officer, has been working hard in the background, and through SOWG, we've identified this need for a centralised budget to help develop that standard comms message. And part of the paper, there's a detailed breakdown in Appendix A of all the different that we're looking to advertise that food waste is coming, to make sure we've got the maximised reach that we can as a partnership for all of our residents. So that's there for information if people want to see that. But to achieve that, we need a budget of £8,000, which we've agreed through officer level. That will come from each £8,000 from each authority, and so there's new burdens funding with the communications element that the district council can utilise. LCC, we don't get the new burdens funding, but we're able to manage that through our existing revenue budget. So all that's going to be commencing shortly, and then when we get some of that information, we'll be able to bring that to future LWP meetings and demonstrate that and the effectiveness of it, because there's some really good stuff there that we've learned from other authorities that have been through that, particularly some of the myth busting videos. There's been some excellent ones made by other authorities that have able to be shared on social media to make sure that you can get the reach and the targeted reach into the different areas of the authority. Moving on to the waste infrastructure process, the existing waste transfer station modifications are well underway. We've just commissioned the site at Grantham, and then we'll be commencing on Boston this month. We're continuing to review the options for land for a greater Lincolnshire waste transfer station. But in the meantime, we've taken over the facility next door to our existing waste transfer station there for a temporary waste transfer station. So we've given the city and parts of North Kesteven an outlet for when their go live dates are scheduled. Lastly, the roadmap's been updated with the go live dates. For West Lindsey, City of Lincoln, North Kesteven, South Kesteven all started in the March and April period, and with East Lindsey, Boston Borough and South Holland starting go live from October 2026. And then lastly, in the June LWP, we agreed to issue a letter to DEFRA to inform them of our programme. We've done that, and that has been released. I haven't had no feedback from DEFRA, but it's in Appendix B just for everyone's records. That concludes my update. Happy to take any questions of where we're at.
First, do we think, yeah, Councillor Butler?
One more of a request, obviously. I fully agree that we all need to contribute towards the advertising of this service. And obviously, if you put in the bottom the county news, it doesn't cost us anything, but it's something that goes out. My concern is, as somebody who ultimately delivers the postman, I know not overly many people actually bother to click the first page. So is there any way that we can put something on the front page so that people see it? I know obviously it's usually a picture of Lincolnshire or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just being realistic that we want as many people to see it.
We could take that away, and we can do our best to request a higher profile, and I'll speak to my comms colleague about that later.
Do we have any questions?
Just say, yeah, the content, I think we've said this before, is massively important. We just need to keep it up because we saw from the Lincolnshire actually it's quite an open door. We were expecting more people complaining, but actually everybody was hardly any complaints at all. Yeah, we were just asking when it was coming in, how we were going to do it. They wanted to know the ins and outs. There was hardly any knowing at all compared to previous rollouts of other,
Yeah.
Now, no doubt we will build to it. I'm not going to do that if we get stuff in my head, But at the moment, it's really good, so I think we need to do that. The other thing is, you mentioned new buildings funding. I think the only downside this is that whilst we're doing all this good work, the indication that they're going to rename and roll new buildings into general settlement is not great. And it's going to leave us with a cost to pick this work up.
Yeah, I mean, your point about the Heckington show, we experienced that along with colleagues from West Lindsey. At the Lincolnshire show, it was really, really positive. Most people just wanted to know what the bin looked like, how big was it, and it's not a bin, it's a caddy. And I've got an example I can show everybody later. Everyone was generally really, really positive about it and wanted to do their bit to improve recycling rates in Lincolnshire.
Just going to add, sorry, Councillor, just to add to that, last week we were out for 3 days. It was National Recycling Week on the street with a toilet roll insert costume, if anybody saw it. But however, the conversations that we were having on the street, we were handing out right bin leaflets, but also handing out the food wasters coming leaflets. And that was a lot of the conversation. We saw exactly the same in Gainsborough, Lincoln and Sleep, but that was what people were interested about. And there was no negativity shown to us at that. It was all very, very positive. There's every opportunity that we do anything at the minute. All of the teams have now got food wasters coming leaflets, and we're taking them to everything that we go to publicly. Yeah.
Right.
Councillor Wright's comments. It is obviously very distressing to hear that the revenue funding might be rolled into a pot where it can't easily be teased out. But unless I've missed an update, I don't think we've got numbers on what the ongoing revenue funding is going to be yet. We're still, I think we've been talking about this for 3 meetings now. We are still waiting for DEFRA to do their job and provide us with a number that we can plan around. And this is meant to be launched in April. This is verging on contempt from DEFRA, because if we are going to do this and do this well, if we are going to avoid some of the challenges that I personally have experienced on the end of a large rollout, we need to know the resources that we've got in an already very, very constrained local government finance environment, ecosystem. To say, we'll let you know, is not good enough. This is not something where we can dip into reserves because they're largely gone. Our reserves have been under pressure for over a decade in local government. And whilst I welcome the changes to how they're going to fund this, at least being a 3-year funding supplement, that I think is just smoke and mirrors masking a number of very structural funding problems that the government have to grapple with. And I am fed up of being kicked into the long grass by Westminster because, oh, we'll get back to you.
You say about that?
Well, we're at the LARAC conference next week, and DEFRA are going to be there, we've been told. So, I mean, we can speak on your behalf and try and rally them and get some information out of them. But you know, they are notoriously difficult to get any information out, and we do get held with the it's coming and it's soon is the sort of the most info I guess out.
Do we lobby as a partnership?
I mean, we have the ability to write to them like what we've done previously. So if that's something we wanted to do,
Yeah,
as a partnership, we could ask that, and then we'll put that on record that we've asked for further clarification.
Chair, my propose.
just Victoria first.
What I was going to say was on the item that the last DEFRA run a series of webinars every month. Well, they were, I think they're still a bit extended now, but around resources and waste. And at the last one, they introduced the fact that the new burdens revenue funding would be caught up within the settlement figure. So there were quite a number of questions back to DEFRA. Colleagues are really happy to say, even if it's rolled up with it, can you identify the actual part of the funding that's relevant? So the response back was that would get a written response on that. But certainly from a lobbying perspective, that may be something that we.
I'd like to propose that the LWB writes to DEFRA asking for urgent and immediate clarity on the funding situation for food waste rollout. Even if it is being rolled up within other fundings, it needs to be itemised within that.
Show of hands. Oh, sorry.
I'll just make a suggested amendment to that. DEFRA is not the one with the purse strings on this at all. It's going to be through MHCLG and the Treasury. So I think, write to DEFRA, but it might be a different type of letter that you need to write to MHCLG and who's being also controlled by the Treasury. This is all going to be Treasury controlled. As Richard will know, as the meetings he has down in London as DCN chairman now, although DEFRA and MHC are there wanting to support and give as much information, the control element is coming from Treasury. And if they're not willing to release anything, DEFRA is going to send us a push-off letter, and so is MHCLG. So I think it needs to be probably a little bit wider than that, and probably writing to Steve Reed at this point, because he had the DEFRA background and now he's got MHCLG. So
I would suggest we have for a timeline as well, because the autumn statement is now not due to the end of November. That's
28th, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
And
26th.
generally, the first finance settlement indication to us is at least 4 weeks after that, and generally.
It's
So that
normally
means
about 20th
after
December.
the council Christmas for all the executive members.
And officers.
Yeah, because you might be sitting.
I'm happy to accept that amendment to be appropriately named individuals.
Yeah, to write to several letters rather than just one.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite useful with Steve Reed moving from DEFRA, or whatever the new net name is for DEFRA, to across to MHCLG as a sec. And then I think we ought to write to him with the junior ministers in both the same areas as well, and he can then raise that on our behalf the Treasury. Hold your breath then.
So can we have an answer before the end of October?
Are you happy to add that in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's proposed and seconded then that we write letters all in favour? It's carried. Thank you very much. Any further questions? Well, I think someone said leave it with you and I'll let you know. We've already know. So we'll probably hear him now.
Which year?
Very much for that, Chris. We'll move on to item 6, performance update, and I believe that is you, Rachel.
That's me. Thank you, Chair. So the paper is in the agenda pack for this. So this is a regular paper that we bring around performance across the county. High level within the paper, you'll see that we're having the weather has impacted the volume of green waste that we've received through the summer, which has a negative impact then on our recycling figures. It's been quite substantially different and probably in levels that we saw the year before last, when we had the really hot summers and the likes. So that does impact our recycle rate. The quantity of recyclables presented this year has slightly gone down from the previous year. However, the quality of those presented has increased, which is only good news, because obviously it means that more of what's been put into the bins at curbside is going through the right recycling channels. In terms of non-recyclable waste, again, we've seen a slight decrease this year, very slight in comparison with last year, and which again is brilliant in terms of adhering to waste minimisation. Number of factors, and we could look at all the economics and the socio factors, but either way, in terms of presentation, that's great. And as a county, we continue to seek alternatives to landfill when the energy from waste is offline. And we're on course to be again well under 0.5% of all waste in Lincolnshire going into landfill for the current year. The data in front of us reflects Q1 with projections through for the whole of the year. But again, in terms of that overall waste minimisation, what we've seen is a reduction in Q1 from last year to this year, in some 26 kilograms per household less presented as waste. So that's a journey that we would like to keep promoting. I think it's also important when you look at the figures around the recycling rate. Our recycling rate in Q1, as it says, was 45.06%, slight increase. The end of the year projection, though, is back down to 39.7%, and that is all relative to the volume of green waste, both at curbside and at the household waste recycling centres that we are seeing. If you look at chart 1, we're holding pretty much in line with the trajectory at 39.7% as a recycling rate. What we will see once with full implementation of food waste, we hope, is at least a 7% increase in that in the following year. And then again, we're now working on how soft plastics will be coming into the recyclate from 2027 onwards. So again, all of these small things will add up to hopefully an increase going forward. What I do find particularly, as I say, in terms of the curbside recycler and the amount of target material, chart 2 shows you, in the 25-26 projection, you'll see that the green chunk, if you like, has increased, although the overall volume's gone down, which is really, really important for us to see that we are now starting to get more and more people bought into putting the right thing in the right bin. It's, it's not an easy task, and we'll continue to work on that going forward. In terms of composting, again, you'll see chart 3, it just shows the trajectory again, where we've got a decrease because of the amount of green waste that's being presented to us. And very little we can do short of having in control over the weather around that one. I think, again, the highlights for me there are around the reduction in kilograms per household, and also the reduced landfilling that we will continue to seek to achieve. 0.46% is what we're projecting for the current year. And we have alternative facilities secured should the energy from waste not be able to take all of our materials. And then further on in the paper, you'll see the contamination rates, which again, for me, anybody who knows my background and the twin stream rollout will know that when I see these, it makes me jump for joy. In terms of a percentage, we'll see that contamination 7.3% at the moment. So actually turn that one on its head, it's 92.7% quality material that's coming in through the recycling streams now. As a result of the EPR requirements, we have our own internal sampling capability now set up, and that allows us to validate what our contractors are telling us we are sending to them and challenge those. So that's really helpful. And it's also been helped by the fact that we are now following the strict regulations in terms of apportionment of fines. So fines being those small fragments that fall out of the bottom of the mesh when you sample. Previously, we were counting those potentially as contamination. What we're doing now is apportioning those, and obviously where we take the paper and cardboard out of the recycling in twin stream, glass, unfortunately, by the time it's been moved around 6 or 7 times, has a habit of going from being a full bottle to not. So we're now able to apportion that, and that shows the impact of it this year in particular on what we're seeing. So we're now reporting what trim people are putting into the bins rather than what's coming out at the other end. So again, I think that's a real positive, and we continue to work and look forward on that. So happy to take any specific questions, John.
Do you have any questions for Rachel?
Thank you. Do all the districts in Lincolnshire have the same policy when it comes to a contaminated bin? Is that something that's been agreed at each waste partnership?
So yeah, as we've gone through in terms of the twin stream rollout, yes, it is. And as our team's supporting that, it's the same, if you like, policy, which is around we use common sense. If we open a bin and check it and there's a few items in, otherwise they are rejected at curbside.
And then do each council then have a set procedure for dealing with those bins that are rejected? Because ultimately they sit there for weeks in some cases.
They do.
They get something.
And the policy is such that where a bin has been rejected on 2 consecutive occasions, we work hand in hand with the WCAs, and my team will go out and look at that duplicate rejections, and I'll go door knock those people and ask, is it a don't know? Is it a I don't want to? How do we help you? How do we sort those bins out? So we go back, and there's too many to go back on every time they're rejected, but where they are consecutively rejected, we're going and doing the door-to-door engagement with people and attempting to change their behaviour.
You mentioned something that I've been thinking about when I read this report, I thought about, and that's socioeconomics. So over the years, we've been seeing these, and it's great to now see that we're seeing much more positive charts compared to where we were. But it'd be interesting if we get somebody from the finance to just show some data against consumer index. Because if we know that shopping trends are changing and it goes up and down the economy, that might correlate to where we're seeing some of our trends with our recycling. Because they reckon that people have been thriftier this year. But is that true? And does that reflect on what we're seeing? Because if we're trying to plan around where we target, be interested to see whether it correlates or not what the spending is.
I think there will. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see that. So I think we think that there is a correlation, isn't it? People that they either buy less, or sometimes you move to a cheaper product, which is sometimes packed in a less sustainable way. So you're creating more residual waste, and then you decrease the amount of recycling. So I think that'll be quite a good exercise to do.
And it's certainly something when we were looking at doing the communications trial around food waste and the food waste diaries that we were really quite conscious of. We're looking at the data around how people shop, what they buy. Has that changed in terms of their habits? What does that look like based on demographic and that sort of thing? So, and there's a couple of sessions next week at the LARAC conference around that behavioural change and engaging around the socioeconomic group. So again, it's about being that, but we need to get some of that data. You're right. We'll have a look at some of that.
Well, just follow up to what I said. Do you think that the producer responsibility is starting to kick in a little bit as well, and packaging is getting less, which is then having a knock-on effect as well? I don't think we're fully seeing it direct in the results, but I think we will do, because it's noticeable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's noticeable at the supermarkets, and there's certain products that have quite quickly moved away. Like your washing tablets that you used to put in your washing machine, they used to be in a plastic box, and now in a cardboard box, which is quite difficult to open, but it's in a cardboard box.
Yeah, and I think this is 4-to-1 with the forecast through the year. I think I think you're right, and I think it's the raising awareness. And if anybody else heard on Radio 5 Live yesterday, there was a big piece over lunchtime around the impact of extended producer responsibility, all of that taxation that's been in, and actually realisation from businesses that actually this does mean business to them. So we're starting to see it. Don't know about anybody else. I bought something and it was fully wrapped in paper and cardboard. It was a Hoover. and even down to the bag where, you know, your little bits and pieces, they were all paper bags, which was the first time I've ever seen anything like that. So I think it will shift, but I think we're on Q1 with the forecast. It's going to take some time to see the impact of that through the sampling data.
We should mention specific companies, shouldn't we? So that company that Jeff Bozo owns. I mean, they're doing a lot more paper bags, less cardboard.
Yeah, very
Yeah, further question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there was the day before yesterday at QK of the organisation who administer the extended producer responsibility on behalf of the government and producers and retailers. They published a roadmap, and that's through to 2030 about how extended producer responsibility will be rolled out and improvements made. So happy to share that with members of this organisation through officers.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Can I just say, because I've sourced that because of this is why we need to be able to, not just us, but the other waste authorities need to be able to show that, especially with paper card, that it's the more success. Because there's a big fear that the lobbying that will go on with government to do with EPR will result in what the industry wants and not what we want, and adversely affect the way we collect waste. So we need to be shouting about how well we're doing the paper card and us doing it at the same time.
So with our current contractor, we're working together on a joint case study for that very reason, to actually talk about, and we're doing it very much from the local authority point of view, around what we've done, the impact it's had, the impact on the quality, the impact of behaviour change that we're having. So we're just creating a case study with them to actually put Lincolnshire out in the market. And I get so many emails and contacts at the minute because of the changes that have been saying. We hear that Lincolnshire are doing really, really well around paper and card. How have you done it? What are you doing? You know, it's all about, you can't just give somebody a receptacle and a piece of paper and tell them what to do. You've got to engage, as we've talked about at every one of these meetings. Get that public engagement and communications is the number one tool in our arsenal.
Communications is key. Steve?
Chair, I might just add a comment, and just to pull through the comments that have already been made, I think, but just to maybe extrapolate a little bit. We are, of course, measuring the percentage as a total of recycling in the collection that we make. So the points that have been made by councillors about the amount of paper and card that we see in that stream will adversely, as it reduces, adversely impact the percentage or our efforts to recycle a percentage of that. In the same way that we've seen green waste drop off this year, simply because there hasn't been as much grass cutting taking place, it will have exactly the same effect with paper and card, and we're probably all seeing examples of that on the doorstep. Certainly I saw it when somebody handed me a kettle with a packaging attached to it. So we are seeing the effects, and it will come through, I think, as Chris has said, over the next year or two, undoubtedly. It's also worth mentioning DRS on the horizon as well, from October 27, where we will see yet more impact on the materials that are going in the bin. And certainly the conversation I was having with a senior industry executive was they are deeply concerned that local authorities won't reach recycling targets simply because the good stuff, in inverted commas, is being taken out long before it gets into the bins. Depending on how you see that, so that might be a good or a bad thing. But it certainly affects the way we operate and the potential that we've got to ever reach that percentage target. So it gets ever tougher as we go along.
And I think that's important, isn't it? In the conversation we've had in the past about recycling rate isn't about recycling at all. And I think that's why we've chosen to, as we look through our corporate plan, we're looking to put a qualitative measure in there in terms of the, whatever that volume might be, or percentage of waste that's presented for recycling, what percentage of that is qualitative as opposed to non-target materials. I think it's important that we use that as well in our communications.
Item 7, Lincolnshire Waste Partnerships Forward Plan. Opportunity to consider future items to be added to the partnerships work programme. Meeting dates 26-27 have now been added to the calendar appointments, will be circulated shortly. Partnership is invited to consider whether there are any additional items they wish to add to the forward.
Thank you. As you've already alluded to about the resident consultation on the HWRC sites, is it worth bringing the results of that to the waste partnership to interrogate?
Yeah, we spoke about this earlier. Yeah, so once the engagement survey is done, the plan is that we'll release the engagement survey at the end of this month. It'll run until the end of December, so there's a good period for people to feedback. We need a period of time to analyse that. So probably sort of springtime, I would imagine we can bring the sort of the feedback that we get from that engagement survey to this forum.
Can I just ask, is that going to just be an online survey, or are you going to be engaging with like schools or at the actual sites, things like that?
So it's going to be through Let's Talk Lincolnshire, which is the sort of county council's platform for doing the engagement. What we're planning on doing is a press release, so everyone knows about it. We're going to have some banners on the recycling centres, and also some leaflets with some QR codes on as well, so people can take them away and access it. So we want to try and get as much engagement from users of the sites, but also businesses and residents and stuff like that are located nearby, neighbours and stuff like that. So we want a good bit of feedback from our residents to tell us what they think of our facilities as they stand at the moment.
Within the boroughs and districts, some of those leaflets, because we can then potentially pass them out to parish councils, so that they can put them in their notes.
We'll issue those all digitally across, and then you can have access to those PDFs and print as many of those as you'd like.
Any further for the forward plan? Okay. Okay. That actually concludes the business for the Lincolnshire Waste Partnership. Thank you very much for your attendance. Give you a couple of hours back. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for attending.